Welcome to today's live show. And today's live show on Women TV India, we have a wonderful guest. So, before I introduce about the guest, I want to talk about if our schooling is perfect. If they always say, if your schooling is perfect, the roots are perfect, then of course, all your life you'll have that with you. So, on that note, I introduce my guest who's already in the other side of my screen, Dr. Rupali. Hi, Doctor Rupali. कैसे हैं आप?
Good evening. All well. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Rupali Dhamdhere is principal, Trinity International School and Junior College, Pune. It's wonderful to have you on the show, an educationalist. Now, Dr. Rupali, first question I want to ask you is what was that one change which happened to you during the pandemic?
The one change that happened to me during the pandemic is that I became more tech savvy. I
Okay.
learned to connect. It wasn't that I wasn't connecting to people, but I
Mm-hmm.
learned to connect to people more
Mm-hmm.
through technology. And yes, or I have a better connection to the entire world now than
Okay.
I had in the yesteryears, because
Uh-huh.
in those
Uh-huh.
I would say in those times, because we've come really ahead of times now,
Correct, correct, correct.
that we were connected to only the people who were the near and dear ones. It's not that we are not connected now, but
Mhm.
yes, the ones who are really far away also are so easily connected to us today. So I would say that
Wonderful.
is one important change.
Yeah, great, great. People are just joining in. Shakuntala Jain, she's saying good evening. Yeah, good evening, Shakuntala Jain. We have Rupali. If you want to ask any questions regarding the education of kids, whether we are going to have only digital education more and less of, kind of proper schooling, what they say, the traditional format of schooling, are we going to have that? You can ask any such questions or much more. So, Dr. Rupali, tell me something. Why did you come into the field of education? It was something which you had from childhood, or was it? It's just where you went with the flow. How it happened?
Actually, I am into education by choice. If I just ponder on my journey in short, I
Okay.
am a graduate, a BSc Home Science graduate, and then I've done
Okay.
my journalism and communication as a post grad student. And I
Mm-hmm.
worked with the Bal Bharti. I worked with DD10 Sports Channel, and I
Wow.
did a little bit of freelance journalism, and then I
Wow.
went into banking as my mainstream career
Mm-hmm.
after doing all this. And then I did a
Okay.
good 8 years of banking at a nationalized bank,
Wow.
after which I realized that this was not for
Uh-huh.
me. And
Okay.
thankfully my family always stood in my support, and today here I am,
Uh-huh.
completely by choice and enjoying my journey thoroughly.
That's really great because many people take up the field of education not because they love it, but they don't have a choice. I have seen those kind of people also, Rupali. So, what do you have to say on that kind of people? And what do you advise? Who should come into the field of education if they really want to pursue, they really want to help others? Who should come?
See, you should have that kind of passion. You should have that kind of passion to connect to people, to connect to
Mhm.
children, and
Mhm.
always on the move of doing something new day in and day out. Just
Okay.
sitting, because teaching is not a desk job.
It's not a
Teaching
desktop.
is not a desk job, and today teaching is much more demanding than even the corporate jobs, let me tell you.
Very true. Absolutely.
So you should have that grit in you, you should have that passion in you to
Uh-huh.
really push you ahead, because it is just not easy. And in
Mhm.
yesteryears they used to say that just because you didn't get into anything, okay, teaching is a very easy
Ah,
thing. But I
yeah, it is.
completely disagree to that. And the ones who come to teaching with that thought process never succeed, or they cannot enjoy, because they don't know what it takes to be a teacher.
Mhm.
You need to be a teacher from within. You need to be a teacher from your backbone, and hardcore teacher, I would say.
Okay, okay. So that's interesting, to to come into teaching field and making your own identity. So tell me something, Rupali. When this pandemic started, there was a lot of changes in the field of education. It's very unpredictable, even for the teachers or even for the parents, to what will happen to their kids. And if you if you see, if you take it, talking very frankly, the kids have little dilemma. The most affected is mostly the kids, because they're lacking in their studies. They're just passing every year, even without attempting exams. Also, of course, some states are conducting re-exams or whatever. But what do you think? How is it going to be? The future of education, will it be more of digitalization? Will it work? What is your opinion on that?
See, yes, we have gone through tough times through this pandemic. But
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you that digitalization was already there. But
Mm.
somewhere, we were very comfortable with the chalk and the blackboard and the green board that we had in front of us.
Very
And
true.
somewhere we were very stuck to the exam and marks in the exam, and
Mm-hmm.
how much are you scoring, and what is the cutoff for this, what is the cutoff for that. So I think I do agree that there has been a gap, in learning, in the
Mm-hmm.
learning process. I'm not denying that completely, but
Mm-hmm.
I think this has, forced us to ponder and to think as to how do you actually, assess the children here. Is it
Mm-hmm.
just going to be when the child is studying for a year? Is it the
Mm-hmm.
3 hour test that is going to decide on how much the child has learned through the year?
Yeah, that's true.
Is it the marks that the child has got in the 3 hour test going to decide whether the child is really capable or no?
Yeah, that's
So,
very,
so
very true.
there are a lot of factors, and they've made us. This pandemic has forced us to think and ponder on those. And very rightly, we are coming up with different means of assessments. Assessment should be for learning, not
Mm-hmm.
of the learning that has happened. So
Very true.
assessment should be a learning step ahead. It should
Okay.
not evaluate as to how and what you have learned. So I think
Okay.
this change is very much required today.
Very true. Very true. And that's really what, to people of today are looking forward, and that's the biggest enlightenment, I can say, we have understood through the present situation. I don't know, we are going to have third wave or whatever. It's really unpredictable. So, if we come to parenting, I'm asking this majorly because you are the people who interact a lot to the parents. If you see the parenting, why it is becoming so difficult to be a parent? Because earlier I've seen the flawlessness of parenting. If I see, my parents were just, there was no as such as parenting coach, nurturing kids coach, or whatever kind of coaches we have, and training people how to be a parent. I've never seen that. If you see the earlier generation, which was 20 years ago, at least I have not seen that, my parents or my grandparents. But now I see parenting, even for a single child, is becoming very difficult. Why do you think so? What do you think on that, Rupali?
You actually have spoken about it in your question itself. You said parenting when you had your grandparents and your parents. So earlier we were into families where you had your grandparents, you had your uncles, you had your aunties staying together, and you had your
Mhm.
cousins coming over, and
Mhm.
there were children in the house, wherein everyone, whoever was elderly, was allowed to talk to the child, was allowed to correct the child. Today,
Correct.
when we are moving towards a nuclear family, there's maybe
Mhm.
just one or two children in the family, and then
Mhm.
the parents are working. And then, when the parents are meeting the child only for those 3 or 4 hours in the evening, they
Mhm.
find that they don't want to be, quoted as a parent who's not there for them, or not a cool parent, sort of
Mhm.
thing. So looking at that, what the parents are under a pressure that I don't want to be disliked by my child, I want my
Mhm.
child to love me. So in that
Mhm.
pretext, what the parents are doing, they are giving into any and everything that is coming their way.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they are creating that notion that giving all this, is creating and making me a better parent, and making my child happy, and no
Mhm.
one else can talk to my child, or no one else can correct my child, because
Mhm.
of which these notions of parenting coach and all that. Earlier, when you were having uncles, aunties, and your child did something wrong, and that person maybe shouted or reprimanded your child or anything, and it was okay, and our parents also used to say,
Ah,
fine, you
nothing
made
wrong.
a mistake. So that is completely fine. Today a child walks down in a society, and even if someone says, oh, you don't ride your cycle here, immediately the parent comes and says, how dare you talk to my child like that.
Ah,
It's like that. And
bilkul.
so we are changing the notion of parenting. We
Mhm.
are showing the child that nobody other than me is allowed to talk to you like that, or
Oh.
is allowed to even shout at you, because I am there to protect you always. So somewhere this nuclear thing, somewhere our working style, somewhere our lifestyles has taken over so much that
Mhm.
we are letting go of the old parenting techniques that we used to have. Earlier, you did not need a counselor. Earlier, you did not need a coach. Earlier, you didn't need all these people because they were just in your family. They were around you. They were around you. They were a part of it. You had older cousins, you had younger cousins. You did not have sharing problems. There was one thing, one TV, and 10 people watched only one single channel, whether they liked it or they did not like it.
Very
You did
true.
not need so many devices. There was one toy and there was no problem sharing. Even if
Mhm.
there were fights, they were solved on their own.
Mm.
Nobody was actually entering the fights, and the parents were not trying to solve or resolve the fights and things like that. If the children had problem, they shared it with uncle, auntie, older siblings, and things were sorted out. So
Very
all
true.
this was there, and now we are coming into that closer and closer bracket, wherein we are enclosing ourselves in that small room, and not allowing us to explore ourselves
Explore.
as well.
Very true.
I feel
Absolutely
that
right.
is the difference today.
No, no, very true, very true. What you are saying is I can picture out clearly. That's the reason, actually. Now, Sarika, who's also does a show with Women TV India, she said, "Well said, Dr. Rupali. If you have passion for the job, you should get it into teaching." Yes, that's what Rupali has said. It's if you have passion for job, then only you can come into teaching. Everybody just because they have कुछ भी नहीं है तो teaching करेंगे वो दिन गए. That's what Rupali is saying. It's very tough. It's very competitive. Now, when we're talking about competitive competition or whatever, why is that? Nowadays kids are going through immense stress, immense pressure, that they hate schools, they hate studying, they hate colleges. It's just that they have to finish it, so they are doing it. It's go they're and every time the parents are also putting a pressure on them. तुमको ये mark आना है, you have to come to IIT, IIM, or whatever. So the pressure increases for the kids, and there is lot of kids who are going into mental illness. What do you have to say on that, Rupali?
See, like we spoke about assessments. So we as parents, or we as adults, are putting it in front of children that this is your benchmark. Now,
Okay.
who's deciding that benchmark? We are deciding, or some other colleges are deciding that this is the benchmark. And
Mhm.
why are we expecting every child to reach that benchmark? See, when
Correct.
we are talking about children, we are saying that every individual, not just
Mhm.
a child, every individual has his and her own set of talents.
Absolutely.
Then, when we are expecting the child to score those many marks, or we are asking, how much did your friend get? How much did he get? How much did he get? What are we doing? We are indirectly comparing our child to somebody else's
Somebody
child.
else.
It is our own DNA, and we forget that.
Mhm.
And somewhere down the line, we feel, I did not go to an IIT, but my child should go to an IIT. Why so? So
Very true.
that is something that we need to realize, we need to understand, and we
Mhm.
need to stop measuring our children with the cutoffs and the marks.
Very true.
Today is the time when there are so many opportunities available in the world. There are so
Mhm.
many other options available in the world. In our times, yes, they were very concrete and very watertight compartments. You have to do this. For this you have to get so much, so much, so much, so much, and this is what it is, and your life is done. It was such a square cut thing.
But
There
then,
were
then
no.
even then, sorry to break you here. Even then, if you say I finished or you finished education 20 25 years ago, even then, we didn't have though this you have to get so you can get into be an engineer. ये करो तो ये IAS बनोगे ये करो कोई कुछ कुछ. But we did not have that kind of I did not use the word stress at all. I don't even know at that time when I was studying in college or school. What is the word stress? Now, a 5-year-old, 10-year-old is telling, "Oh, I'm so stressed off my school. I'm stressed off my education. I'm stressed off my max." So it is like weird. That
It is
stress
weird.
level.
Yeah, it is weird because our expectations. I remember in my times, if I got a 70%, I was a very good child.
Hmm.
A board, a child getting a 70 and 75% in a board was like, wow. Today,
Mm-hmm.
a 99% is also not enough. Where are we going? Where
Hmm.
are we going? What are we doing? And
Very
when
true.
you're saying that a child is getting a 90% or a 99%, that means the child does not need to know anything further. The child is already so perfect.
Huh.
So why are we running behind that perfection?
Correct.
We are wanting our child to be perfect, yes, but then we need to be a little bit, honest, and understand inside, are we perfect and were we perfect? And in
Very.
those times we were not stressed, because the cutoffs at that time, a 70% was also a very good percentage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then that stress level wasn't there, because somewhere down the line it was fine, we could survive. Today an 80% is like you're looked down upon.
Ah,
80%, my god,
80% कुछ भी नहीं.
80% is good. It is good. What is the harm? And I always feel that, I always say that I always will lay my bet on an average child and an average human being, because the average child and an average human being does not have the fear of losing anything.
Oh.
You know what? Because I know I can struggle, I can do this. If not this, something else will work out. So I still have that mentality. When I'm too brilliant, I'm a 90%, I'm a 95%, and I don't reach there, then I'm frustrated, then I'm stressed, because I don't know anything else.
Ah, very true.
I
You
don't know
always
anything
want
else.
success in life.
Because
Correct.
I am conditioned only to that much, that I know only so much and I have to do this. And when I don't see it happening, then I'm stressed.
Bilkul.
Then I'm stressed.
Very
So
true.
I
Very
would
true.
say an average child finds his and her own options. I do understand sometimes they do take time, but I feel they eventually shine in life.
Very true. Perfectly said. And that's what people who have joined us are also saying. Harshita Srivastava, she's one of my very close friend of mine, and she's also running a school. And she says, even few immersing, few we have not even thought of. Parents have started comparing with other kids, and expectations are too high. And well said. Totally agree with you, Rupali. Fantastic. Rupali, people are loving the way you are saying and the telling, suggesting. And really, Rupali, I did not expect such kind of answers from educationalists because they always back on marks and everything.
It's time to
Right.
change. It's time to change.
Yeah, it's time to change. Absolutely, it's time to change. And tell me something. Now, what is going to be the future? Are we going to have more digital schools, less of that, kind of going to school and learning and seeing the kids on person? How it is going to be? What is your
See,
what is your expectations?
digitalization is there to stay. It's not
Correct.
going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we are looking at a blended approach henceforth as well.
Mm-hmm.
But school is going to be more of a place where the child learns to interact socially. The
Mm-hmm.
child develops emotionally. The child
Mm-hmm.
develops socially,
Correct.
not just academically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, school is going to have to take more onus than just creating genius kids who are getting a 98 and a 99%.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be the responsibility of the school to
Mm-hmm.
generate emotionally and
Mm-hmm.
socially balanced children
Wow.
who are able to take the challenges and
Mm-hmm.
convert them into opportunities as they come their way. So we need to make these children stronger from inside, from the mind here.
Mm-hmm.
Should
Mm-hmm.
not immediately, get under the stress, and they should not feel confused if they are in front of any situation or they are facing any situation. So we need to have that kind of impact, and we need to train our children from that perspective more than just academics. Today you see, because of the exposure that the children have, the children
Mm-hmm.
are very smart. They know many more things than you know. They actually know many more things because they have so much information at their fingertips. So
Mm-hmm.
a child might beat you just like that in information.
Mm-hmm.
It is not difficult.
It's not difficult.
So they
Very
are
true.
very tech savvy. They have a lot of information, but what they
Mm-hmm.
need today is they need social balance, they need emotional balance. They
Mm-hmm.
need that entire 360-degree well-being personality,
Mm-hmm.
which is important for creating a better and a stronger future for tomorrow.
Very true. Very true. Absolutely. That's really, really very good thoughts on that. And Geeta Rajan, she's saying, working with Rupali ma'am is an honor, and I think she's part of your team. People are
Yes.
joining in. If you have anything else to, ask, or you can just, say something on the topic we are discussing today. It's been a wonderful conversations we are doing today, and uh, moving on, Rupali, what do you plan on your school, on your college, Trinity? What are your plans for your kids, and what's the next step?
The next step is, yes, it continues like I said, and it is the way forward for everybody. So we have to
Mhm.
continue with digitalization along
Mhm.
with having a more balanced life for our children. So
Mhm.
giving them more opportunities, giving them more exposure,
Mhm.
giving them those various platforms that can be available for them. I did
Mhm.
something very small called Masti Ki Pathshala these few days back,
Okay.
wherein I called one grade at a time,
Mhm.
and it was a bagless day for them. Just
Okay.
one day school wherein they just came with their tiffin and their water bottle. They did paper engineering, they did music, they did dance, they did
Mhm.
sports, and they
Mhm.
also wrote on postcards messages and things. So there was so much learning that happened,
Mhm. Mhm.
but no books.
Wonderful concept. Yeah. Mm.
So my grade 9 children also presented. They were divided into three teams, and one team came up with a fashion line using newspaper, and they
Mhm.
came up with a business plan to sell that fashion clothing line as well.
Mhm.
One
Mhm.
team made a bridge using paper, and
Mhm.
another team made recyclable items that they would sell.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
all this was done within an hour and a half, and they could actually convince the teachers in front of them, the judges in front of them, that why their product is good. And all this was without books.
Wow. That's great. That's great. That's great.
So the judges were also like, oh, I already have future entrepreneurs and future managers in front of me. So this
Very
learning,
true.
this was not book learning.
Yeah,
They
this is
learned
not
it
a
on
book
their
learning. It's
own,
not
and
there
it was
anywhere.
teamwork.
Yeah,
Yes. So this you don't get in any book.
very true.
So I think this is the way forward, and this is the way my school is going to go ahead.
Wonderful concepts. And just joining is Vijaya Chauhan. Well said. Agreed. Bolke he has text Vijaya Chauhan, he or she, whatever. And Sarika has said new education policy talks about wholesome, holistic development rather than just running about marks. And she's also said about Mastiki Pathshala, great initiative. Absolutely great initiative. We are almost, I didn't realize we almost spoke for so long, and we are almost coming to half an hour. And before I end this show today, I have one last question I want to ask Rupali. What do you want to say to the women of today, especially the middle-aged women on Women TV India? Like, how do you see, because we are supposed to do multitasking, mother, daughter-in-law, and so on, so forth, so many characters we play, and we don't get time for ourselves. We sometimes don't, we forget what we are. Trying to be good to everybody and pleasing everybody is becoming which sometimes it's like, why are we doing this? And but we don't have a choice. But what do you have to say to the women of today, to how to balance themselves and stay calm, don't get, because these days women are going through a lot of stress and mental ailments. Because if you see, even if in India it's proven that every third woman is going through mental illness than man, every seventh guy is having some mental illness. See the comparison, because that's the kind of stress women are going. What do you have to say on that?
See, I respect every chore, every job that a woman does. And
Mm-hmm.
I am not saying that the woman has to go out of the house, even if she's a housewife. That is the greatest job that she's doing. But I
Absolutely.
want the woman to herself like herself, respect herself, and also, give herself that time. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't love yourself, you cannot love the others in the family.
Wow.
Stop pitying yourself. I would say, I tell this to my teachers, to my friends, to my colleagues, to everybody. Stop
Mm-hmm.
pitying yourself. Why am I the only one? Why am I doing this? See, you know that this is what it is. This is what you have to deal with. Every woman knows that this is her life and she has to deal with this. Take it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't complain about it. Because the way you respond to things, that is how your mental health is connected with. If you respond to it in a negative way, it affects here and here, because somewhere that negativity is settling down, and
Mm-hmm.
then it piles up inside.
Okay.
So I feel, choose your way to respond to everything with a smile. It's not easy, let me tell you, it's not easy. It's not easy, but consciously do it. And when you choose to respond in a better way, things start changing, though gradually, but they do change. And there is nothing wrong in giving yourself that time that you need. When you will say, okay, I am so busy all day, I just don't have the time,
Mm-hmm.
make that effort to get up 1 hour early. You're giving yourself time, right? You do what you like. You have your favorite cup of coffee, your favorite cup of tea, listen to music, lie down. You do what you want in that 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
You need it. And don't wait for someone to give it to you. Take it out for yourself.
Very
You
true.
need to take charge of your life. And when you take charge of your life, you can choose how to respond and how to react to what someone else is doing.
Absolutely.
Because that person is not changing. You are in charge of yourself.
Very
You
true.
change your reaction. I think that
Wonderful.
is important. And that is my message.
Wonderful, Rupali. It's well said. Nobody should, have the self pity module. Many women do that. It's मेरे साथ ही क्यों हो रहा है? Why am I the one?
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
I think that's a well said, Rupali, and we had a wonderful conversation today. I didn't even realize it's almost half an hour since we've been speaking, and we spoke on different aspects. And thank you for coming to Women TV India and sharing your views on these topics, which are really, really topics to be spoken. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.